Righteous Van Dyke. Baby, this year you're not caught on it, baby. Opinim no sani kete wabempuamu. So we yesu bontini this yo. Esi yo yina sebo fan baby. I'm a for bulensi yo funai. Esi yo susani. Esi yo biya yande friends banyemu. my do is to subret. Not sense you, yeah. Never go off and tell and friend and see us inside. Samson, yeah, Fenty, I'm a folk when you see you. Yana man forces to say, and then baby, I ain't couple see you be a move. It's waiting to ya, ever couple to want to move. Now so dress to want to move, so want to let this come from. So sway, so want to let this you. And see you know, say, buffer, baby, and I'm up for when see you fly. After no cut, what day, yes, and your son can wait.
Good evening, folks. Samson to LIBERIA Public Radio. We're on it again this evening. We're giving the evening, of course, Monday afternoon. We also want to quickly stay here. That will welcome all of you. Welcome all of you. Safety. Lord Jesus, we thank you very much for this day and again. Lord, brother back here again. We ask you to wash our tongue. Lord, guide us as we come on this beautiful show again tonight. We ask you, my Lord, that everything that will come out of our mouth must be something that our people will be willing to listen. My Lord, the continuing blanket of support and forgiveness that you continue to provide for us is so much. No man, nobody can match that kind of love that you got for us. And we want to thank you. We want to thank you for your protection. We want to thank you for your mercy. Because of your mercy, we're still here. My Lord, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Lord Jesus, we ask that you bless the country of the Republic of Liberia. Bless the leaders of the Republic of Liberia. Give them wisdom to do what is good for our people. My Lord, bless the host country, the United States of America. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Welcome, folks. Samson to LIBERIA Public Radio. I'm not too sure if I'm audible enough, but if I am, I think I will listen to myself here very shortly. And I will say, yes, I am, but I'm not listening to myself yet. So I will just tentatively say yes. I could be wrong. Oh, I just heard myself. Okay, we're on. Thank you. Don't last. I'm going to enjoy myself tonight, folks. Thank you. Quickly, let us also join Mr. So, Alfonso Zion, who has a pack here this morning. Mine's time in the afternoon, his time. Just bringing back some serious memory about his mom passing. But I like the way the young man handled it. I was very much concerned that perhaps he was going to cry. Because, I mean, when he started narrating, because I witnessed some of the conversation, I listened to some of the conversation, I was part of some of the conversation between him and his mom. And so when he started bringing these things up, they were just too emotional for some of us. But as strong as he is, we appreciate that. And then we also join him to say, thanks to all the family members, all our friends that supported this family in time of need. We appreciate it. We say thank you. Mr. So, thank you very much for doing this for us. I'm not too sure if many sons can do what you did today without seriously breaking down, because those of us that know you, we know how close you are to your mom. There's no question. So to go out today to do this without breaking down, you're a very strong young man. Thank you. And here, let's go on to the show. Samson to LIBERIA Public Radio. It's not easy. But yeah, again, CDC, they're starting again. I told you before, your things they are lying. When something good happen a little bit, instead of then, one of the things, they know they are Liberians, but I don't know what happened to the people. Liberia men can say, they say, chickens can say are sweet. Somebody taste the chicken, then they say, oh, the chicken sweet, oh, my people. But sedition, they say, Asuyo, what are you eat a chicken? He said, you eat a chicken, they tell you, say they're sweet. How you will live like that? How you will live like that, CDC? Let people praise your small before Kalasco start coming up with all these kinds of nyama video and things like that. This is just something. But of course, that's CDC. They can't help themselves. They cannot help themselves. When they do something little bit, people say, before they will even say hand to finish the last breath, CDC, they not put foot in their own mouth again. They've done it again today. The people have been crying for rice. Kalasco, the lady who picture I'm going to be showing here, none of them was saying nothing whatsoever. But one chef show on and the last time, Mr. So was telling us here that the issue was people go on a high sea and rice that's supposed to come to us, they go and do business. And Costa just narrated some whole story again today, where the people are set the rice that comes to us, the business, they want that their job to make money. They're not there to feed you. They're not the Liberian businesses that import rice to feed you. That's not their job. Their job is to make money. And so when they see where other places you charge, you tell them, say, don't care the prices, it's okay. Saloon price go $1, $2. Let's go to sell their rice over there. You can't stop them. Africans or Guinean rice price go up, they take their rice over there and sell it. Then they say, oh, we got rice, but they get their money. That the smart name. You got people CDC, Kalasco, they're putting video up today. Rice here, the shape now birth, they're coming. Even if that whole rice come out, they send nothing to sell you. How many of that bag of rice will be able to feed Liberians? How long? How long? Prince Peter, you now come by again today. Again. I just like to read your comment. I enjoy myself with you. But tonight, I will piss you up, Prince Peter. I will really shake you down. Your CD, your tiny sedition, you can't do nothing for the country. When people talking, you run your mouth. Prince Peter, I'm here for you today. You myself, 4 to 4. Keep writing. But what I want for you, though, Peter, when I open the line, call and make your comment. That's how people deal with it. So what am I talking about? Yes, right here. Yeah, right here. And hopefully the analysts will be joining here very short. I don't know what's going on, but folks, I can handle this. I'm Samson Todd, the liberal, the man who can talk from day to day. He can't shut up. The different, a mini engineer, they don't do the country. They don't open their mouth. They let their work do their job, talking for them. But the other total engineer, he can talk. He talk plenty more than engineer. What's that? But who cares? Let me put the woman up. So here's the thing here. I believe this lady, I think she's some higher up in the port or something. But here's the ship behind it. So they say, rice here now. Okay. So rice here, so what? Thank you. But what I suspect about the rice being here, basically, and they put the people, their picture up and the ship and things like that. What I suspect was, I think Yaka Koluba got them shook up. Because Yaka Koluba was going around most around the county, organizing. And I think he shook them up, my people. Oh, that protest can shake you up, CDC, that protest can shake you up, On another serious note, I'm going to be jumping from point to point as I'm waiting for my analyst to join me here. If not, then I will go on with Louis Brown appearing here on Mr. Soul Show here yesterday. Another thing, when you go on many of these social media, Front Page Africa, and Daily Observer, you will read the National Election Commission. Some people, by election coming, if you don't do the thing right, if you don't do it right, you might not get no problem in our country. The Election Commission, according to the story, they were supposed to send out a bid for people to bid for the project, which have to do with printing out identification card, voter registration, whatever it is. They decided they were going to give the project to a company, a Chinese, a Nigerian, and a Liberian combined. And other people started complaining about the process. So the people who supposed to be, okay, you want to bid for project, you all know, left view the thing, the people look at it and say, they want, we're not certified. They want election commission, we're not certified, you do it again. They go do it over. The people who were not get a project, they flunk. They were not able to print ID card in a lot of time. You know, they are complaining now. Yeah, but people will suffer. They say, listen to that logic on a very serious note. They didn't make it on time because the time allotted for them was like Mr. So and myself can be doing. When the central right, Amos George come out here, Mr. So let him talk and talk and talk. Then when my time come and suddenly I run out of topic, then I blame Mr. So. You see, that I tell Mr. So why you gave Mr. George so many times and you give me the same kind of time? Because I ain't got no subject matter. They got me that day, then they run me down. I hope they're not listening. Then that day, then they not run me down. I'm zero, empty. But I gotta blame somebody. So the people, you know what they did? They say, according to them, they're complaining because when they told them, you can't demonstrate. You coming to demonstrate. They got criteria for which you're coming to show to the people what you can do. They say, if you want our bid, these are the criteria. You must meet these criteria. And one of the criteria was, within a certain time that we're going to give you, you should be able to print ID card. He said, the people say, because they got to reconnect from there and connect here and there, so they didn't have time to reprint the ID card. So they blame it. You see that? You see that Samson told them when Mr. So and Emo Joy and myself were on the show, when they finished cranking me, I run out of subject matter. I don't know who else to blame. Then I said, Mr. So, you come here and you give Mr. Joy so many times, you don't give me time. You see, that's how they work it. So the people came up. They came up and said that was their excuse. So now, on a very serious note, I play 4 and things like that, but this is very serious. People who, and there was what, $12 plus million, and they were unable to perform within the time allotted to them. And these are the people that was supposed to have gotten the contract. Can you imagine? And then time come for election day, they are not able to produce. You think the opposition gonna let you get away with that kind of with that kind of beautiful idea? They won't let you. That confusion. But the good people at the PCC or WCC or whatever CC they eat, they say no, we gotta do it all over. But on a very serious note, it's not necessary. Let's do it right. Let's do it right. Everyone that's going to be involved, let's do it right. And then they had a convention, I believe, over the weekend. NPP or NWP or PPP, whatever they call themselves. Charted up that one I can't even pronounce it correctly anyway. Charted up or what you want to call? Charted up what you want to call? They went for a convention and they split. Boom. You know, they ever think Costa's brother is a COP, and then immediately he brought some young people on thinking that they were going to work with him, and the young people came out and said, they call themselves independent COP. Everybody now they're becoming independent. When they go to a convention, they ain't get what they want. They say, independent convention or independent, whatever they call themselves. But people in Liberia will not easy. Okay, so we're getting ready now. Yeah, man, this boy will kill me, man. But anyway, so we're getting ready now to get into a very serious matter. But this is it. So there's the NCP or NPP or whatever they call it, but all I can say, charted old party, they got some serious issue. Okay, So and let me see what other subject matter I can throw up there. Another subject matter that I'm going to be discussing here for maybe 1 or 2 hours or so later on, not today, is the war crime court. And I will tie that in here as I open the show. Let me now bring in another senior analyst. They are very serious, highly educated. Says they're going to let folks young list in young man, and all the accolades about his education I'm talking about, those are serious stuff. But the thing is, when you look at it, and you say, but that boy, they say he educated, say, but when you open your mouth, then you say, excuse me, I'm let me go drink small water back there. Then that's what I talk about. Let me bring him on, folks. Yes, say here who's going to be helping me here tonight. Say good evening. Good evening.
How you doing, man? When you finish doing that kind of thing now, then I live up to the expectation. No problem.
Yeah. The one I hear you, my you know my own my ear.
I said when you finish doing that kind of setup, then I miss the goal. Then no problem.
I know. I don't see you dropping putting all the 4 or 5 adjectives together, put it down, and it says so. No, but before we get into let's have a little fun here a little bit before we get into the serious matter. Just for fun here, do you see anybody up to this point? Do you see anybody in the hierarchy of CDC that they can put against Louis Brown one-on-one? Do you see anybody from CDC?
If it is, you mean they can put on him one-on-one to discuss
one-on-one in terms of discussion,
issue or noise?
No noise.
Yeah,
they don't no sound, nothing.
No,
they just put them in a room and say let's discuss the issue.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, let me go name people.
Hold on 1 second. I think a person like on a serious intellectual discussion, like a Dr. Lester Tenney, might do the best that the CDC has.
The man Lester Tenney faced him here one time, and Lester Tenney decided to go gutter.
Yeah, he did.
I think that knocked him out right away.
You asked me who can, and I'm saying
all right. I'm not going to accept Lester Tenney, Dr. Lester Tenney name because he had the opportunity to show the shine, and he didn't. He decided to go gutter. But let me
listen to the point I'm making. When you ask, like the question is, for example, when you ask and say, well, is there anybody here that can, what is the highest score they can get?
Yeah, but I have the right to reject.
I know, but the point I'm making is, just listen, is that you're asking me what's the highest point somebody can get in this class, this person. I said, yeah, the best would be 20%. It's still an F. I'm just in the best shot they got. You know?
Okay. But let me call a few other people.
Yeah.
What do you make of Eugene Nagbe facing Brown one-on-one, intellectual conversation about Liberia? No war crime, basically you committed there, you did this, just truly policy issue, one-on-one. That'd be a
better matchup, even because Eugene would not be in a position to discuss anybody with war crime issue, right? Because even him himself served a previous government student.
And I believe he was one of the transporters or something. Yeah.
So he can't even pull that card, right? So I think that would be an evenly matched up. But I don't think the zest and the zeal with which Louis Brown articulates his point, I don't think what's his name, Nangbe has their strength, has their same capacity, right?
Let me bring in another analyst there, Jay. And Jay, we're just poking fun right now. We'll call you in, but just sit in. Let me bring you in. Sit in and sit tight and listen. So, sister, let me call a few other names here. You said Eugene Nagbe. Okay. Let me call a few other names. What's about what's his name? Tuet.
Oh man, have they updated the student companion since you were in high school? Yeah, because that's the only thing Tuet knows is a student companion, and like that's about it. Like why do they even continue to mention the name of Samuel Tuet when we're talking about real, intellectuals that discuss issue that is not based in the 1920s or in student companion? The brother has refused to study. Samuel Tuet stopped learning a long time ago. And for some reason, CDC always still think that this guy is an intellectual. That really bothers me.
I am here.
right? That really
Well,
bothers me. It's the same way they felt like this noise maker in a lawmaker who came from the Fertile Crescent. Apparently, all the fertilizer died because they bring in an infertile crescent. When he sits on the national platform to try to discuss simile, and he's boasting that he is a former literature teacher. It's like me coming here and trying to say I'm a math teacher and I'm here arguing with somebody about the order of operation and I get it wrong. And I'm digging myself in. And then he comes, so maybe that crescent is no longer fertile. So I will tell you this though, if CDC had a chance to go to a lab to create a person, maybe they'll take bits and pieces of all those people you call to stand up to Louis Brown. But Louis Brown, like it or not, he was then circles around these guys, because they do not have control, command and control, first of the language, command and control of the communication style, because there's a difference between knowing how to speak English and how to communicate effectively. And Louis Brown, like him or hate him, has complete control over those two.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We're being joined by Mr. So also. So the intent here tonight, let's see if we can go into I'm not too sure if all of us have the opportunity yesterday to listen to Mr. Brown and the conversation with Mr. So. So I think whatever you can remember, let's try to dissect that. But before that, I want to bring out, let me bring in Jay here. Jay, Rising Liberia now, what you got to say now? Jay, CDC say Rising, Carrasco say Rising Liberia now. You must start protest, talking about protest. What you got to say now, Jay?
It is a good thing. Firstly, let me say good afternoon, good evening from my end here to all of you. And it's been a while that I've not been on the show. I've been having some family, movement from one end to another. We've been having some engagement. But it is we shouldn't have reached to the point where we will be happy because rest is in the country, because there have been allocation made through legislative provision for rice being in the country. So if your parents told you every 7 o'clock go take
why you can't say the chicken sweet small for CDC? So you come to take all the chicken soup, all of the good pepper, the purple, the Carrasco, then now cook the soup. You come to take all that thing, then people say the chicken sweet again.
If my parents tell me, or if the man say in a home, I'm the man in a home, I should be able to provide. I don't see why the jubilation will be coming in if he didn't provide 2 days and he provide another day again. But how be it, we are glad that our people will not be suffering for rice, will not be in a position where they have the money, but they cannot purchase. I spoke to some people who own restaurants. Look, it is disturbing, to be honest with you. Those people who take the CCC ones, those are all who are regular Monrovia boys, who regularly in a community. We know the people who can eat rice heavily. Before they work out, the someone coming to be, you get a keke people. You get the keke, the wheelbarrow boys, you get the taxi drivers, you get the student communities. And those are the people who approach your first phase. So when rice is scarce, it's a problem, and we will talk about it. And when it is made available, we are also glad because they can be able to reach out to get a bag of rice.
Say the president said when there's a scarcity, the scarcity somewhere something.
Then the budget shortfall.
The rest scarcity and the rest. But let me come to you. Yeah, like bro, we've been in it. We long been doing anything, but we're really in it.
I never knew that's how this guy.
Mr. So the liberal is in control. Say rising time. Carrasco say rising time. We must be quiet now. What do you, on a very serious note, even with the amount of rice that these people are listing, how long you think would that amount be able to feed Liberians on a continuous basis, you think, before they start having some serious issue again?
So I want to say, hey Jay, it's been a while since I've seen you, my brother. It's nice to see you. I was just about to call you today to check up on you.
No, he's fine. I already did. He's fine.
Look, on a serious note, This weekend, I was sending money to some of my family people in Liberia, and I was worried. I got my mother in Liberia who has stroke and she got diabetes, so I want to make sure she got her insulin and her rice. And I said, "Oh, you got rice?" She said, "Yes." So I called my auntie and called my in-laws, and I said, "You got rice?" Somebody said, "Well, no, we got money right now, but we can't find the rice," because my concern was to send the money, because I felt like maybe the price had gone up. And so maybe, they could be able to buy it with an increased price, but they had the money and couldn't even see the rice. So I want to say I'm grateful, I'm thankful that there is rice on the market. Albeit, though, the celebration by Kalasco and other high government ranking officials, I think is naive. And it will come back to bite them in the butt. Remember when I said that the president should not have responded to Mr. Cummins' letter? You should have allowed that response to come from the party chairman. And then they ended up having to stop and not respond to the response. It's the same thing with this. Because what you were supposed to do, if this is a smart group of people, you allow the commoners who have been complaining that there's no rice to start to show videos of them buying the rice.
Yes.
So that when the rice shortage hits in a short term, nobody can call you by and somebody else celebrating and say rice was here. So you have that degree of separation. In American politics, in serious governance, it's called plausible deniability. You create degrees of separation, right? So the rice is on the market. Commoners are celebrating. When they go short, the Commerce Ministry can come and say, "Oh, we have some rice. We're still doing our best." You cannot tie that to the presidency, right? Because nobody around the president came out celebrating. Now, if rice were to go short on the market in a month or so, people are going to be bringing this Kalasco video right back and holding them back to it. How do people not see the long-term gain? You are in government. You are no longer opposition. These short-term celebrations are not necessary. It's almost like me going tomorrow on Facebook and posting my status and say, "My family have food to eat today. I'm the best daddy on earth." Boo-hoo, who gives you credit for that? But if there's no food in my house, people are going to chastise me. So when you're a serious government, you have a way of elevating the conversation. Now it's down to, well, there was no rice, now there is rice. And now people will say, "But why did we have this conversation in the first place? If you're doing your responsibility, due diligence, we shouldn't have had this situation in the first place." So I just think sometimes, I don't know who advised these guys, but the likes of Kalasco, I think they need to take his phone and seize his and take it off Facebook for the good of the office of the presidency. He has to go back to doing his work, which is special assistant to the president, not a chief communicator for the office of the president. And so I just think, I'm happy rice is in the market. It's on the market because I know when people were hungry, it was not just Seditians that were looking for food. It was not just ANCers or UPIsts or people that support Tewan Gonglo. It was all Liberians that were looking for rice. So I am happy. I am glad wherever that rice came from. Thank you, Mr. President. I hope that you continue to pull that string where the rice came from so we get more on the market. I'll give you credit for that, for the rice coming, but I hope that you guys have a long-term plan so that you don't continue to do this thing from place to place.
Yeah, I wanted to respond to reply or even make comments on a Carrasco post today, but then I thought myself not to go that low anyway. So, Mr. So, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Let me just first of all say, my little brother Bishop Water is watching. Bishop, good evening to you as well. Let me ask you, Mr. So, I know you are. We're just going to go straight into the. And you can even make a comment on the rights if you want, but I want to jump into the first. How do you feel now that the first segment of your show is over? What are some of the things that you were expecting and perhaps you were able to achieve with the collaboration of the group in Monrovia? Were there something you're anticipating? Was it fulfilled, or you still think that something's lacking somewhere?
Well, first of all, let me disabuse you right now because you told me you're going to pack me and you date, and you think you're just going to come bring me on and I'm just going to allow it to. I told you I'm an Israeli. When you punch me, I go in the air and fire back. Okay. Look, hey, Jake, good evening. Good to see you. I see Mr. George. Yeah, but I think his camera, Mr. George, maybe you want to go and come back. Yeah, Sissy, what's up? Look, I think we did it, and I'm saying we, LPR. The feedback that I got is amazing. I'm talking about coming from ordinary Liberians and even key players, because we were able to change the conversation in terms of having guests uninterrupted, because when you bring people as a guest, the listeners, the viewer, they want to get a sense of what the conversations, how you're going to go. You can stop a guest, but be able to let a guest, he or she learns a point, and then you can come in. If there's any intervention, you want to jot it down. So I think it's going to be a good thing. I got a very good feedback, and we are open. I'm not saying everything is 100%. I don't know. You intruded into my system yesterday and make my whole camera went blurred for whatever reason, but that didn't work. But I think we're gonna make a difference with Sister Umbo, with Jennington. And in fact, I received a call from an active participant who is now trying to secure a spot to appear on the Liberian War today. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, not a real surprise. Like, hey, this is the kind of conversation we want to have, where people are given the opportunity. And guess what? This type of interviews yesterday was different. People thought we're going to be bringing in like a war crime and this and that. I'm not saying it is not important, but we have to take a different direction in such that what other people don't do, that's what we did. And brought in the analysts, gave a quick profile, their anticipation, and right after the show, they came and made their point, because you're not going to bring your guests on and then at the same time people, because first of all, Sese, he get aside, Jennington get aside, you're unstable, we don't know where you are. One day with Boyka, another day with CDC, another day with Liberty Party, USA, Liberia. So first of all, you guys, I do not consider you as a neutral person, but you can express your view, your opinion. So bringing in Louis Brown as an ANC person, if I bring in Jennington, what would Jennington be saying? Jennington would be in the mass choir of Timothy George, the Zion Grove Baptist Church. And Sister going to be the only person to be pounding. So that is that unbalanced conversation right there. But we can get their take right after the program, profile A before the conversation.
And that's exactly what we're about to do now with Louis Brown conversation. I think many of us were listening, and I think we were listening tentatively. And I mean, there was no two-way street about it. We were surely involved. So I want to thank you for bringing such a wonderful guest on. Next time, bring him on and let loose of us and see how strong Louis Brown is with the
I want to. It's Joseph Boyka. I want to talk to now. Joseph Boyka.
No, the Papa got time for your small children. The Papa got time for you right now.
Amos George in the backstage. I don't know what happened. Mr.
Yeah, but
George,
bring him on.
No, his camera having issue. But quickly to respond, and I would
too happy with the Louis Brown stuff, so your camera not working. You know, like ANC people now.
I will bring it on. But on the issue of Carrasco, just what Sissy said, this is the struggle of GOL from time to time. Okay, I think Amos George is on now. Let me bring it. I even sent that link yesterday, but I don't know why. That's the struggle of GOL from time to time. Their inability to get their message out. Is that Carrasco the one should be the one to sell the message of the government of the Republic of Liberia? The misuse of information is always been placed in the wrong hand, and they don't listen. What happens to the Minister of Information? What happens to even the press secretary? It's a little quick briefing thing. Who is Carrasco? Carrasco is not the official spokesperson of the government of the Republic of Liberia. Such an important. I am happy, like it is reported, Rice is in time, and I hope because it puts a sort of stress on people here. Our people are there. So that's a news they should capitalize on and seize the entire media industry and play that 30-second, 1 second soundbite and pay and like other network, but they just do not have the capacity. It is not the job of Carrasco to do that. So as a result, it wouldn't be given the public attention as it should be, because this is a guy who posted a wrong street before and say we're paving Liberia. So why should I even believe him?
What I think, and before I go to Mr. Joshua, what I think is happening is You know, running for me, I have not. Of course, I ran government before in Town, so I know much about running government in Town. Than anything about. On a very serious note, you don't come. I believe you don't come to these positions, and that's why you don't employ relatives. Carrasco always claiming to be the son of Dr. Weir, calling him dad and things whatever. So, what do you expect now? Do you expect for dad to punish his son because he puts this? You know, because if you do that, and in Liberian society, what we always praise singing from Turkmenistan up to this point, we always praise singing to leaders and what have you. So anybody the leader feel that the leader will bring close to him, that person becomes like a heavy weight, even if that person have no knowledge of whatever subject matter they're putting themselves in. You know, why will you pass by the information minister? Why will you even pass by the people at the free port? And you not immediately before they start doing, you put it up right away. Right here now, you must stop your protest. You would stop the people from protesting. You know, this it's ridiculous. But then again, we've been saying this here for time and time. Nobody listening. That's fine. This is politics. Politics is about interest. If people believe what Carrasco is doing is helping the government, let them re-elect the government. If they think what Carrasco is doing is hurting the government, and therefore government is not functioning correctly, let them replace the government. That's the politics is about interest. Mr. George, let me come to you. We're getting ready to jump into Louis Brown and Mr. Soha just lay out here. So let me ask you this. I know you were listening yesterday. What are some of the takeaway? And let's all of us, all four of us, let's try. Did I say four? My goodness. Okay, four, five, whatever number. So what? But anyway, let us try. And Mr. So, the position I want you to play here tonight, and I said one. I don't say I wish. I don't say I hope. I say I want. I want. So let's get that clear. The position I want you to play here tonight for us is to stabilize, because you had an interaction with him. You were feeding the questions, and most of the answer was coming based on some of the answer you were able to formulate other questions. So try to help us to stabilize this here tonight to be somehow like a referee. But Mr. George, let me come to you. Let's start first from positive. What are some of the things that you heard that were positive from Mr. Brown yesterday?
So, Libra, why not get some little soundbite of what Louis Brown was saying for the benefit of the other audience, and then he can pick it up from there. How you see it?
Okay, go ahead. I gotta block this.
Let me see here. Hold on.
Wow.
Along with us recently named to a team dubbed Team Cummings. I'm honored by the opportunity. I look forward to working with everyone on that team. I think it reflects the diversity that makes up Liberia. We come from different backgrounds, different experiences. We bring different attributes. Liberia is a place where you even have disabled, and so the disabled are represented on that team. You have those who are educated, they are represented on that team. Those who are not educated, they are represented on that team. Market women, young people, students, people from all walks of life. If you truly want to change a country and lead a united Liberia, in my mind, this is how you do it. And this is why I'm honored. Some of the people I will be working with for the first time in my life. And so I look forward to the opportunity with great anticipation.
Okay, the collaborations or the content sharings of LPR and that of SCAT, we are concerned, both network, in terms of the conversation that is being kept. More or less, entertainment is being incited into the immediate industry, which is not doing our people good. And so both group, and we want to say this content sharing is at no cost. SCAR did not, we want to make that crystal clear. SCAR did not charge us to air all of what we are doing, but they are because of the core value we believe in and what the directions of the country, both institutions. And let me say this, all questions are done all by me and only me. SCAR, none of my analysts, but they will also be participating. As you know, news is about current events. Let's start right on this front here. Let me take you back home here. And you are in Liberia. You can bring me to the point, Ambassador, if you will. Your party, the National Patriotic Party, right now, what is going on? How concerned are you? You are like a piece of cloth now between the scissors. Do you know what is happening? And have you spoken with anybody with inside the NPP?
I have been engaged with some leaders of the NPP, even before I made a public endorsement of one of the leading candidates who I believe will win the next election, and deservedly so, because of the freshness of his ideas and the new vision and energy he will bring to governing our country, to redeem and rescue us from the failure we're currently experiencing. I consulted with some of the leaders of the NPP. The National Patriotic Party is a strange political party. Unlike many others, it was created in the heart of our country. It's one of the very few political parties, if any, that was created from central Liberia.
Okay, let me pause it there. We can do it piece by piece so that the people will get it. So Samson, take it away. Look at the layout that he did. The intro, the layout, and when the question came about what is going on within his party.
Let's go back to Mr. George. Mr. George.
Yeah.
Once again, I want you to, now that he has given us that at this point for me to say, let's pick this. What do you make of it? What do you think of just the first section here?
Oh, good evening, Mr. Tool, Mr. Soul, Cece, and Jonathan. How are you doing? Look, like Louis Brown or not, this guy was able to present the ANC. You can see the comportment, relaxed and articulating what the ANC have put together. So you can see this man as a real diplomat speaking, not like the most modern man yell over people. So those are things that I look at. The body language of Mr. Brown, what he's trying to articulate. When Mr. So asked him about his party, look at his response. He knows that there's a brawl going in the party, but what did he say? He said the party is trying to find its identity is evolving. So you have to look at the man, how he speaks, how he articulates, answering the question. So I think Mr. Brown did the ANC a favor yesterday, the way he presented his case of the ANC.
Cece, same question to you.
So here's where I would disagree.
Come to Jonathan here.
If you were in a church of ABC, I guess you present worship. For me, I listened clearly to see if the man was going to answer the question. He spoke. I can't take that away from him. But he talked much about nothing. He went around circles. He didn't answer much of the questions that were asked to him. And so here is Louis Brown talking about the team that was formed is a diversity of attributes, a diversity of people representing different sectors. What sector does General Daniel Chia represent? What attribute does General Daniel Chia bring that Cummings needs? What attribute does Julia Duncan Cassell brings to commies that he needs? What attribute does a Dan Morias bring to commies? We want to know that. And if you listen to the tape, when he kept talking about, he did not want to mention the name of Daniel Chip. He was happy talking about Dr. Toga Gleway McIntosh, whom I have a lot of respect for. But he never wanted to mention Daniel Chip. It's like that was the elephant in the room that he refused to address. And so then he talks about a united Liberia. If you want to rule a united Liberia. So is this the ANC way of telling us now that they are gradually moving away to a united Liberia versus a justice center Liberia that has been fighting for the War Crimes Court? Because now they're talking about united Liberia, right? So is this their way of following in the footsteps of their mother, the CDC, that promised Liberians that they were going to be for War Crimes Court, that took caskets in the streets only to win state power and walk away from that? Because I'm already seeing that. And last but not least, man, we were children in Liberia when the NPP was founded. For Louis Brown to sit on national platform and try to rewrite history while we are still living, to call the NPP a grassroots organization, that is farce. Because we all know why the NPP was funded. It was funded because the warring factions had to go to elections. And the NPFL became the NPP because of the NPRAG government in Banga. It was not a forming of grassroots people. It was the formation of Charles Taylor. So why was he trying to dissociate this thing so much from Charles Taylor when we all know that was the case? And to say that this is one of the parties that were formed in the heartland, NPP had no choice but to be formed in the heartland because Banga was the capital of the NPRAG. So, to sit here, yes, I know he's articulate, but I, as an educated person, was listening for substance. And sadly, he walked around everything. He said a whole lot, but it amounted to nothing.
Jay, let me come to you. You heard Sissy, and I also second the motion with Sissy sentiment, but I even go further than that. That Louis Brown, while we all respect him, his ability to articulate on issues upon issues and make it clear, and even speak to the lowest of all lowers in Liberia, those educated, not educated, everyone, you will clearly have a sense of what he's talking about, because he doesn't try to make it so complicated that people will not understand. But what I also take out of this is the fact that if they're not careful, that perhaps they're going to wrap themselves so tight that they might not be able to loosen before the election. But let me ask you this, Jonathan. They had a list. ANC came up with a list. And you told us here, and I'm counting down, we still got one more week before the daylight between you and Armo Comic disappear, according to you. There will be no daylight, and they one more week before the daylight, because I have it written down here. So that when that week is over, I will expect no daylight between you and Comic, but just a little daylight that is there now. What do you make of this list? Why did they make this list? And what exactly were they trying to achieve?
Thank you so very kindly. I've not been on the show for quite some time, and thanks to all of you who have held it down in order to make it as a beacon of hope for our people to espouse their views. Firstly, what I make of the list is that it is helpful, it is meaningful, it is always good that Liberians have the opportunity to cross-examine these happenings to give what it is out to be. And I guess even those individuals on the list will see it in good faith if they are cross-examined by people. But what I make of the list, firstly, is that from the background of Alice Cummings that I've worked with as National Deputy Secretary General for Media and Public Affairs and Deputy Spokesperson of the campaign, that I've worked with as Acting Secretary General of the ANC, I believe And what Mr. Cummings has always said is that the tone for change for Liberia will always be set at the head. The tone to change Liberia will either be set by President George Weah, by his exemplary leadership, or by former President Salif, or by he, Alex Cummings, should he assume national leadership. And all other actors will follow. Now, let me give a quick analogy to this listing brouhaha that have been in the public discussion. All Liberians, or nearly all Liberians who are residing in the United States of America or elsewhere are not, and maybe somebody will discount it or will prove me otherwise, but I say bulk of Liberians in the majority, we are not punctual people, we are not time-bound people. We are in Monrovia, Italy, come to work 8 o'clock, we come 10 o'clock, but none of us challenge us. None of us will go to the American embassy beyond the time prescribed. And most of us that are in America that will misbehave when we are driving in the traffic in America, in Liberia, that will misbehave on the rule of law in Liberia, many of us will never dare to violate the laws of the United States of America or foreign land. Why is it so? It is because the tune is set at the head. From JFK through America, the tune is rightfully set. If those on the list that are believed to be people that are associated or that it is established that they're associated with the 14 years Candish, and judging from the 14 years to current, they have served in their community, whatever have been their involvement, have now recognized that among all of the candidates in this process, including the one that some of us fought together, called Senator Johnson, or even President Weah, have been accused of supporting left movement. Among some of those who have served in national leadership of the country, the best person we see that have set the tune and have an exemplary life is Mr. Cummings. In my judgment, I'm of the thought that they are prepared to follow that leader who is ready to set the tone, and they are prepared to demonstrate as Liberians who are now in America and will follow the rules of law in America, will go to the embassy, pump on time because they want to receive that visa and change their livelihood. That is the analogy that I can draw to the issue of the listing.
All right, Jay, thank you very much. But I jotted down a few things here.
I hope you give me a chance to push. I hope you give me a chance to push my brother back a little bit.
You
I
will.
was a chance to push back on Mr. Cesar do a little bit.
Yeah. We'll push. They platform here. By the time we finish pushing each other here tonight, only Alfonso alone will stay.
You see the reason why I can't bring you guys in when I bring guests, because everybody want to have
Everybody push everybody.
I am the only neutral guy on this network.
Yeah,
so,
well, that's why you say. That's why you say. Because I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you. That's why you calling yourself. But let me go on, Jay. And I'll bring Cesar in here and Mr. So after 4 of us. What happened to my number business here tonight? Okay, well, no big deal. After we all finish going through, Mr. So, please prepare another one for us and throw it out there for us to have a discussion on. But let me say this here, Jay. You're saying that those who are on the list and perhaps, and I'm just paraphrasing that, and perhaps have done or whatever they did or whatever their association with the war is, once they find out that the people, Liberian people, are not receptive to their being on the list, and perhaps they themselves would tune their attune to whatever behavior is happening. Perhaps you've been in Liberia all these years, Jay, you know us. That ain't gonna happen. Another thing here I also want to say, Jay, is you guys, you're really sounding like CDC right now. I mean, you're talking about no daylight between you and Comey right now. There is no daylight between you and sedition during the Ellen Salif administration. Now you guys are, and that's what I keep saying about your young people. Not only are you guys educated, but you're very sophisticated. And this is some of the example here you're showing here tonight. A sophistication level is so high. You're now justifying things that a year or so ago would have been some. If CDC had brought people like down the chair in their camp, that would have been a song of retribution from whatever position you're in. That would have been. But now you guys are ready now. Not only you don't want to come out to embrace, but you are justifying. And I think that's that. One thing you also have to know, those of you that are supporting Cummings, you're not the only educated people in the room. Not anymore. There are a lot of young people who are just as sophisticated as young and educated as you are. So I want people, I would really appreciate if you guys come out and say, look, and do like what I always argue, even argue for Prince Johnson. Nobody came to the war here getting more money, sleeping in, one night sleeping in the morning. Oh, I gotta go to war. There were things that provoked, there were things that happened, there were things that brought people into this. So approach it from that perspective. Those who were involved, let them tell the Liberian people why they were involved. And then if they feel that perhaps their action is beyond anything else, they can apologize. But for us now to justify it because we won't vote, I think it's going to hurt us. Sissy, go ahead and wrap it.
Let me just correct something that.
Okay, come back to correct it when Sissy.
Okay. Because I didn't make the correction because I don't want to add on to error. I don't want to add on the error. Let me make the correction, so maybe I will not add up to the error.
No, Sissy, that would not be fair on his part because he might throw himself some more. He might throw you some more red bone. He might throw you some more red bone that you're gonna pile on. So
no, Sissy can go ahead. I don't have issue with it. I did not say Liberians should follow people who are believed or who are assumed or who've participated during the course of the war or based on allegation of corruption to just follow those people. I'm not saying Liberians should follow them. The analogy that I drew about Liberians not being time conscious in Liberia, you all know it, a fact. They're not rhetorics. But when it comes to American embassy, they are time conscious. It means that when a stone of leadership is set at the top, those people on the list that are believed or are assumed to have been involved into other things, we want to follow the exemplary life of that leader. And that is what I meant. So when
they said to cut it short, you're gonna train the old dog with new tactics. Okay. So say what say you?
So I waited for my brother to finish so maybe we can call in.
I guess the old dog, when it comes to America, they can adopt a new title, right?
But in Liberia, the old dog, they don't listen to Western side.
No, but America got a tool, so the force of Baba the tool.
Yeah.
So
I was waiting for Jonathan to get done. So maybe he could call in the Right Reverend Alexander Cummings to come here, because what he seems to be suggesting is that somehow Cummings is able to be the one now to save the likes of Daniel Che, that he will keep Daniel Che from being bloodthirsty, right? Because the tune is set at the head. So what tune is Daniel Cummings setting to change Daniel Che? He hasn't told us that. This is his kitchen cabinet. We all live in America. This is the American idea that Cummings is taking to Liberia, where you get people around you and we know when it comes to economic policy who we're going to go to. So when it comes to defense and defense posture and national security, it's Daniel Che. So what has Cummings said that would tell us that there is going to be a change in Daniel Che? And the other thing I like is, when my brother Jonathan spoke here, and just like the Louis Brown spoke, they're all running from calling that name Daniel Che. They would not mention his name. Like you pay them, it's almost like hot potato in their mouth. They will not call your name. They would not do it. Why won't you call his name? Right? So this whole thing you can see the ANC. Yeah, that's the thing. Say his name. Say the man's name. So
you guys are killing me.
You can see that the ANC has recognized that they touched a hot potato and they're changing the way they discuss. Now they're saying, just look at ABC, look at Alexander Cummings, forget about all the other people you bring around here. The tune gets set from the head. You've seen that shift in their policy now, right? Because initially when they announced this council, this was supposed to be a group of people that were supposed to look at and say that Cummings is serious. Look at the kind of people you're appointing. But when people started punching holes at some of these people, now we go back to, we don't look at the head, right? Look at the head. And I would say this though, if we really want to take Alexander Cummings seriously, this is a man that wrote an op-ed response to the president and accused the president of providing financial and material support to a warring faction. Yet he would turn around and go and appoint a former general. So is there cognitive dissonance, or it is Alexander Cummings telling, oh, he didn't read his own response to the president letter, where he accused the president of helping the war movement in Liberia. And last but not least, in our land,
go ahead.
I keep saying that the ANC keep following their parent, the CDC. You see the same thing we accused McGilden of, and say they were not vetting properly people that they were bringing to George Weah, and we had a situation with Wambodiki, and then we had a situation with Zolizo, and then we had a situation with this guy, Jonathan, that went to the airport, and we kept accusing and said people should do their due diligence. The chief of staff to Alexander Cummings stated that she was a part of this process of vetting people. Who is vetting these people that they're allowing the likes of Daniel Che? It's not a problem if Daniel Che endorses Cummings. Every Liberian have the right to endorse somebody. But to say this is the person that's going to be at my kitchen table making decisions in my kitchen cabinet, that is a problem. So the same failure that happened in the chief of staff office to the president of the Republic of Liberia has started to happen in the chief of staff office to Alexander B. Cummings. They don't want to own up to it, but that is just the fact.
Okay, Mr. So, please prepare the stuff for us. Let Amos Joy push Jonathan off the stage, and then we can come to you to give us another red meat here. I think we're going to enjoy ourselves tonight. Go ahead, Mr. George. Go ahead.
Let me say this. Look, in all sincerity.
No, I mean push Sissy off the stage. Go ahead.
No, I come here.
Why are you trying to stir up trouble?
Sincerity.
That's my job. Job.
I have some reservation about some of the names on the list. And I will not come to say where everything starts from the leader. I have some reservation about some of the names on the list. Daniel Chia, I don't know this Duncan Womo. Dan Moran, I don't know him. So I don't want to say. But what I said, what I was saying, that will not prevent people if there's a need to go to the War and Economic Crime Court. So because some of us are deeply involved with the War and Economic Crime Court. I have said it all on the show. I said, even if my brother was a general, he fought and his name come out, he must go and face that process to vindicate himself. Now, having said that, I even called some people in the ANC, and I spoke to some people that say, yes, this name is troublesome, but you cannot, when people come and say they want to be part of something, you don't exclude them. I said, okay, but I said, but this name, we will have to, the ANC will have to, this one name. I said, it will take time to defend this one name, which is Daniel Chia. Now, having said that, since I mentioned about the NPP, look at their support. I've never supported NPP, but through the birth of Liberia, the 15 counties, they were established yet. They have supporters all around the counties. So you can't say it was just born, it was not born through central Liberia. It was a military thing. They transformed that military into a civilian.
My argument was not that they were not born in central Liberia.
Okay, let it
the NPP,
go ahead.
I mean, what I gave, that's the fact. It was born from the central part of Liberia, which was a Bangala, that was the headquarters. So you can't say that. They say it was, that's where it came from. Like it or not, that's the facts.
But Pa George, I didn't say that's a lie. I didn't even argue that point.
Let him respond. We'll come to you. Let him respond. So, then you'll be able to.
That's why they refer to it, because in the 15th subdivision, they have roots there. They have officers there. So basically, anybody will say it's a grassroots because what? The involvement, when you look at the political landscape, they have supporters all over the country. So that is not an understatement to say no, it's not factual. It's factual. Yes, okay. I don't support them, but that's what the reality on the ground.
Okay.
So
And I
can I
like
make
I like
clarification?
I like your voice, your tone of voice tonight, Mr. Central Right. You're not. I want to see your left hand moving as usual when you and Mr. So in command of the situation. I see both hands, but tonight it seems like Sese has you up. Yeah, pretty
No,
much have you
So,
on
you
the,
know,
and
you
then
know
you
what?
know your left.
Mr.
But let me.
Paul,
You know, you said something in the show. I will follow you. When you accuse Mr. So of, he gave me time.
Oh, I didn't know you were fine.
When you run out of words, when we put you in the corner, then Mr. So give us you turn around to pick Mr. So. So please don't do it again tonight.
Okay.
so Mr. To, just 2 seconds. By George, I did not disagree that the NPP was formed in Banga. In fact, I said that it was formed in the heartland because Banga was the capital of the NPRAG government, where Charles Taylor had the de facto government. And so that was why it had to be formed in Banga, because it had to be
Yeah,
formed.
but Sese, you know the rules. You know the rules.
Say that.
We'll come to you, and then perhaps you can try to put that into that whatever time slot that you have. That's how you know the game is played here. Go ahead, Mr. Sawyer. Are you ready to dump something else on us, or you have a comment you want to make?
Well, I told you, really paying back here tonight, and that's what I'm just watching. And I know it's on purpose. But look, just before the next segment coming, what you guys are not still pointing out is politicians' positions are always political, and political the most strategic. You heard Louis Brown before when this whole thing about he being in NPP, MPFL, this whole red meat came. What did he do? He sent a warning, say, and your NPP people in CDC. So it means they are all being categorized as bad people. You understand? So their position here is critical, is strategic. They try to get the most important and to get this thing off their way before the election.
Mhm.
There's a political intimidation, politicians, and that's exactly what they have done. They put this elaborate lace out there to create a political intimidation, political fear in their opponent that this is our strength, this is who we are, and this is what we're going to do. So that's it. But Cesar is quite correct. Uh, he couldn't mention his name yesterday, and I guess there is a reason. And with McIntyre Gageway and Louis Brown on ANC, believe me, those guys know how to put the bit and pieces together. But let's go to the second one here, and you guys can have your dinner with it here. Let's see what Louis Brown will be talking here.
The story of the NPP. So, in that search for ourselves and for relevance, there have been some contests, there have been some disagreements, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is that the NPP, I'm pleased to learn that at a convention which just ended, the decision, I understand, has been reached. I believe the party will confirm it if it hasn't already, that it will continue to consult with like-minded political parties in forming collaborations that are in the best interest of the country.
This seems to be troubling. Talking about NPP, Ambassador Louis Brown, Ambassador McIntyre, you guys, mobilization percent, student activists, you nurture, you put this institution together, see what is going on right now. And I'm hearing say they're going to be okay. How possibly can that be? Are they still listening to you? Where do you find yourself? Now you have injected Western politics into Liberia, which is a great thing, working across the app. But that seems to be a little bit troubling because this is an institution you have to put together, and they got to the presidency, and here we are right now. The two faces of NPP. There's no way the politics of Liberia can ignore Ambassador Louis Brown and that of McIntyre. Two of you guys now in the front yard of Alexander Benedict Cummings of the ANC. How can NPP survive?
NPP will survive because NPP has always endeavored and strived to be more than just the individuals that have been said to be associated with the party. One of the challenges the NPP faced for many years was many have thought that without Mr. Taylor, the NPP will die. That has not been the case, because the NPP, if you look at the true history of the party, it was not necessarily begun by Mr. Taylor, for Mr. Taylor. The NPP was an effort, a realistic effort to seek a political resolution to the prolonged conflict at the time. So a number of individuals came together and created and formed this political vehicle. Some have passed on now. I'm talking about the late Christian Herbert, the late ACT Fagate, Augustine Minswa, and a host of others who were not combatants. They came together and realized that the country needed a political solution to the military crisis that we were all engulfed in. And that is why the NPP came to exist. Of course, his first standard bearer was Mr. Taylor, who bought into the idea later. And then the NPP has continued to spread out. If you look again, like I said, in all of these political parties, NPP officials have or members have served in leading roles and capacities, helping to build other political institutions. Deep at its core, the NPP has been about change. Now, have we achieved the change we set out to achieve? No, it can be reasonably argued that we have not achieved what we set out to achieve for the country. But it does not mean that we will surrender and say suddenly this is failure. So you find NPP people everywhere in all these political organizations still working for that same intrinsic element of change in our country. And so from the north to the south, the east to the west, I've gone around this country and I've seen old and young carry NPP identity, because it's a grassroots based organization, carry NPP identity proudly, and basically saying that desire to change Liberia for the better should not have succeeded militarily, thank God. But hopefully, we can all continue to work in our country for improved democracy, improved spaces for civic association and respect, improve opportunity for unity of purpose, unity of our people, whether you be Muslim, Christian, whatever tribe, whatever gender, whatever political party. In truth, that has been what the NPP has been about. That was why we formed the NPP. And so it shouldn't surprise you that, for instance, during elections, NPP partisans have taken different paths.
All right. Let me I had to interrupt. Let me hold you right there. We're going to be moving here, and I want to make use of time here. Let's come to today's reality of your recent political decisions. You are a politician. For me, it's not a surprise. Let's turn the camera off here. How Ambassador Brown arrived at this point? Were there any initial conversation prior to your public endorsement to Alexander Cummings of ANC? What was the political deal? And I also understand the coalition NPP formed herself with that of the CDC. It did not work. And we all know that it's not a hidden fact. So who knows? Some folks within the NPP, and probably that could be you, finding a different route. You supported the CDC for all of this period of time. Was there any sort of counsel that you provided to this current administration, and no one pay yet to Ambassador Brown, for which he is now taking this decision?
Well, I said on another network, and it seemed confusing, that I supported the president with silence. I've seen political leaders offer public counsel, and I've seen how this president has entreated those public counsels for the good of the country. And so my support, quite frankly, was mostly in silence. You know, President, we are 161.
So that's your guy right there.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. So. Before I go, I'm going to start with Mr. George, but before I do that, let me just say, from my own thing, the way he came about, for me, it seemed to, I can quickly say here that was intellectually dishonest, to say the least. And we have to be very factual here as well. When you're going to come out and say the NPP, whatever they call themselves, was for change, and at the top of that change mentor, you have Charles Taylor. What change you're talking about? And if you're going to come out here, what we agree as Liberian, you have the right to endorse whoever you want to endorse. There's no question asked. But when these kinds of questions are asked, instead of trying to play political jujutsu or kabuki dancing with it, it's not serving anybody. Many Liberians are not educated. And many Liberians, you can go on YouTube and follow the entire process of Liberian Civil War, communications, the peace conferences, the communications. Some of the people that participated in those peace conferences are still alive. And for you to sit here as someone who perhaps will be the face of ANC to say that NPP was for change, and the change, they're still hoping that will happen. And on my thing is, on top of that, you have a man who for years and years lies to the Liberian people. He was elected because Liberia didn't want to go back to war. And it's not because of his goodwill, or it's not because of his leadership ability. It has to do with the fear of not going back to war. And now for you to say here that NPP has some sort of understanding about his membership, that they will do all they can because Liberia changes will only come about through political means. Then how come Charles Taylor was driven out of that country, resisting? And so for me, when you listen to these kinds of explanation, compared to the way that they're bringing people like Daniel Chair in, now you can see the reasoning that perhaps were put to Cummings to agree with this list. The reasoning, as he just explained, most likely that's the kind of conversation he had with Cummings, to say these are the reasons why NPP, because Cummings himself must have been somebody who perhaps were interested to know what happened. So I don't agree with that explanation. And I just feel bad because these are people that will most likely will take over Liberia tomorrow. And then we're going to go all around with the war crime court issues. Because most likely, if you have people like Daniel Chair on the table, as Sissy suggested earlier, what would be his input in terms of war crime discussion, war crime court discussion? He most likely will pour another Prince Johnson issue on us. So, Mr. George, let me come to you. What do you make of this conversation here with Mr. Louis Brown?
Well, I would disagree on some points.
Go ahead. That's what we do here.
Mr. Brown spoke about change, and he said this change was not totally realized. He didn't just say completely we came with change and we succeeded. No, he said there was failure, shortcoming. And all around the world, Mr. Tour, I want you to make a research. Every organization, political movement, military, they all will come with this language change. So when people are speaking, we have to look at it in totality. He didn't say, oh, the change we promised people will achieve it. No, he said there were many shortcomings and we're still striving towards that change. So let's put it in that context. Okay. And you mentioned, you continue to say about this war crime code. I don't know the last time you listened to the ambassador, the war crime ambassador that traveled to Liberia. She was very clear on certain questions she was asked. And I surely believe in her too. I support her. I have been a proponent of this war crime code because I was directly affected. So I tell people, if my brother is involved, he will have to go to the court. So that I cannot compromise with anybody to say, oh, this person is my brother or my cousin or this. No, you have to go to that court. I have said it because I'm still living with the pain today. So I do not, that I cannot compromise with anybody. So when Louis Brown spoke, it's a small thing he spoke about that. So I can't come here to say, oh, he was not sincere. If you are saying, look, we spoke about change and we achieved it, then that's a different issue. He said we stay striving for this change. And he talked about is bringing, because a murder solution cannot end it will never end on the battlefield. It has to end on a round table. So he spoke about, hey, look at the conflicts. We decide to form this political institution to use it to derive as peace. That process succeeded by bringing Chancellor to power. Now you talk about he was ruling. Yeah, Chancellor was ruling out of power because he had a serious problem with the U.S. government. And he would say, and one of his tips is that if you go there, he confessed to that if only he would have listened to the U.S., then he would have remained in power, but he did not listen. He decided to go his own way. So that pushing out of Liberia. So when we're talking to them, we don't just take the soundbite to suit us. Let us lay out there some of the challenges and what preceded those things.
All right. Let me thank you, Mr. Josh. Thank you very much. Let me go on to Sise. Sise, you heard many of the statements that was made here, and the way I like for us to discuss, and I think that's what we're doing here, is to be sincere, and I think we haven't missed a mark on that. When we disagree, we say so very strongly, which we all appreciate. So, but you listen to Mr. Brown here. His explanation to that about his political party, and when he was asked as to whether they're splitting up and what have you, he didn't believe that. He thought they were still strong and what have you. What do you make of those statements overall?
Well, first thing, on the issue of the Chancellor issue and the change, I agree with Mr. George. Every political party, even the CDC, running for change, and everybody with their change. Change is relative. We got to hold people accountable to those changes, right? And one of the things I don't like to do is to, like what we usually tend to do is say, people voted for George Weah because they were not educated. I think that's an insult to people who vote. And it's the same thing with people voting for Chancellor for whatever reason. Now, having said that, Louis Brown is a tactician. This short clip, you can see the man's brilliance. I disagree with him, but you can see the man's brilliance at work. Here are the things that happen. First thing, there are two positions coming out of the NPP. One said that they endorse the standard bearer, which is Madam Joha Otila, and they endorse the continued collaboration with the CDC, and that they want them to go back and renegotiate what that will look like. There's another one that said, well, they empower the NPP to think about collaborating with like-minded political parties. The like-minded political party groups is the group that Ambassador Louis Brown is steering away from the NPP to bring to the ANC. But before he can do that, he got to clean it. You know how when we're picking and we find it, you find it later, saying, hey, that thing, you put a fire, you put it actually, you put a on it, you put your heat on it, you shine it, shine it, shine it. That is exactly what Louis Brown is doing. The first thing he has to do is to clean every smell of Charles Taylor from the NPP. And so when he talks about they brought the idea and Taylor bought into the idea of the NPP, you kidding me? Taylor bought into the idea or that was Taylor idea, right? But this is a reason, and Louis Brown is a genius at this. When he was saying that, look, I was sitting there going, man, this dude is clever. Because what he's doing is to say, okay, we're going to remove Taylor as far as possible. This was a brainchild of intellectuals, the like
Yes.
of, and he called the like of Tia Faculty the late, and all these guys, and then he minimally talked about Taylor buying into it. It was not an emphasis on Taylor, but the emphasis was on the likes of Tia Faculty,
Christian Herbert.
the Christian Herbert.
But
And so this was a tactician doing the best that he knows how to do. And the next thing he said was to say, well, you know, and the NPP has not been a party that just people vote on party line, people vote on ideology. So that you cannot hold him for running from his party to another party, and you cannot hold him from bringing the other people. And if you see what followed on Spoon TV with Chief Cyril Allen, if you watch that stuff, don't be surprised to see Cyril Allen's name on the next list. I am seeing the fingerprint of Louis Brown on the appointment of Daniel Chie, because here's what you do as a political party. If I were advising the ANC, absolutely what Louis Brown is doing is what I would do. You go to the NPP, because look at the collaboration that is leading right now. The collaboration of the ruling collaboration.
The coalition.
The coalition. Besides the CDC, the Congress, the next most vote-rich group is the NPP.
Yeah.
And if you listen at the NPP convention, what's the senator? The NPP senator was saying that
James Bonny.
He said that the NPP brings the most political knowledge and experience to the coalition. That was a statement he made. And so if you are the ANC and you're looking to make inroads, you go to that. You know you can't get a CDC, the Congress, but by God, you can split the NPP. You neutral the NPP. You make sure that if you can't get them, you neutralize them. And that is exactly what they did with that convention. And that is the reason you see Louis Brown sitting and say he spoke to some leaders of the NPP. He didn't say I spoke to all the leaders of the NPP, because this is a master tactician at work. For me, I loved it. This was a brilliant play. I'm not supporting the ANC, but I saw that and I go, man, this is smart. It was genius. Like him or hate him, it was genius.
Right. Okay. Jay, let me come to you here. And and let me throw in the total a little bit. Then I'll come back and be serious on it. They are ANC business. You're taking women. You're allowed to take women from people.
That politics, that fair again, that politics. Say no, that politics.
No. They you want the Liberty Party. You're take some. You're take some. You're let us split people houses. You're let us break people houses. But let me be serious a little bit. Jay, let me come to you. I make fun of this, but do you think that bringing these highliner from these different political parties, do you think that ANC has a capacity, not necessarily to control, but to have these different individual, strong-willed people to be able to collaborate and cooperate for a winning team? You think ANC able that?
Yes, I believe so, and I solely believe so, that ANC has the ability to coordinate the different people from different backgrounds and forge in ahead for the good of Liberia, given our past, given our history, given how we have lagging behind as a country for 175 years. I think it is the bank on which ANC came to being on. ANC saw that there was a mighty or strong opposition party called the Congress of Democratic Change. ANC saw that there was a ruling party called the Unity Party. ANC had a vision that with these two parties, if one is out and the other one comes in, they will not represent fully the aspiration of Liberia and they will not be able to drive the agenda. And so we came in between to serve as a buffer. And unluckily, unfortunate for us, we did not win and we did not perform. We took our honor-rated performance as a stepping stone to build on it. And we have kept on seeing ourselves as the underdog. But one thing that I wanted to emphasize, and I love this kind of conversation because the technology war, 40 years from now, if I will live, or 20 years from now, by God's grace, it will still haunt my intellectual ability. And so I like to be very honest. To Louis Brown's statement, the reason why President Taylor failed, it was not because he was not militarily strong, but he lacks the political understanding of what Liberia was. That's a fair thing. There were students, I went to a party recently, I met a lady who was in university at the time, at New Tier faculty. And she said she became a representative of Chancellor thing because they understood the student politics on campus, how to organize the people. So while they were not fighters, while they could not commend men, they saw that at the end of this day, this thing going to be about political solution. And if it is going to be about political solution, they must find their space to organize. So I will agree with Brown that they were not a gun total, but we could tell you the chief, 18 years we can fight for now to judgment day. It got to come to the political solution. So we need to get our foot on the ground and put into the place the political mechanics that will drive the people towards our direction. And so I think there were, he got it right to say that there were political solution that was needed. He also admitted as to whether they succeeded in getting a change. Of course, they did not succeed. But hey, can someone ask them as to whether, like Mr. Tour asking whether was it possible to get a change out of the person? Then we should be asking Paul Kigami. We should ask Gerald Rollins. Because those are people who have both the military understanding and the political will to change the situation. And so when they were given the opportunity, or when they tried to manifest themselves through the various corners and get themselves there, they knew exactly what to do.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt.
Fidel Castro. He had
it's time for me to interrupt when you start going that group name.
Lastly, Fidel Castro had guns on his back along with his fighter. And the first thing they did was to provide education, because with education, you can lead your people in any direction. That is the political will.
Yeah, why I don't disagree with you with the sentiment, but for you to bring in the like of Gerald Rollins, Paul Kaminga, and even Fidel Castro. And I'm just asking a rhetorical question. Do you think Comey has that fortitude with him to be that drastic, to make sure people follow the law of the country? Gerald Rollins killed people. Paul Kaminga, according to a story, he's responsible for the death of that president, shooting down the plane. And we know about Cuba Costa, what's his name here? Castro here. So we going to now put Cummings in that light? I think if we do that, we're setting ourselves up for failure, because I do not believe that Cummings will go that far. But anyway, we're pretty much out of time. I wanted to put it up for comment from the audience, but we're pretty much out of time. So let's just go around and wrap it up here. Now let me start with you, Sissy. What would be your closing here as we try to close this up?
So Rice is now in Miami. Well, and we're hoping that Roxy will finally go back home to eat some rice in Miami and be reunited with the parents.
Who's Roxy?
Oh, the thing will make it our people ain't go talk to the other groups at the UN to get money for education.
Wait,
Other thing.
Roxy,
They were bonding with Roxy. While other people were giving speeches at the Economic Forum, at the Education Forum, and other places, they were busy bonding with Roxy. You see Roxy? Okay, you buy your. But then Roxy enter in the bro and go to the same community, that would know what can happen. But
No, I can't believe. I can't believe.
That issue.
No, you guys are really killing the show tonight. Oh my goodness.
On a serious note, though, I'm happy my people got food in that bro.
And especially with no rice and Roxy get there, the community, forget it.
But on a serious note, though, I am genuinely, pleasantly happy that there is rice available in Liberia now, and I hope Mr. President and the Liberian government can continue to do work behind the scenes to ensure that the Liberian people's staple is not in short supply, and that the cost of Liberian staple is not cost prohibitive. It's not so high that that people cannot afford it. So I want to say thank you to the government of Liberia for ensuring that rice is on the market. Of course, when you feed your family, we're not supposed to tell you thank you, but this is the new thing we find. What's that? Enso Kalasco. Thank you so much. Now, having said that, I'm excited, and I like to say something because I know Mr. So has been pushing us here on this platform for when are our guys that we follow, when are they going to name their kitchen cabinet? And so for Alexander Cummings to be the leader in that group, to name his kitchen cabinet, for me, bravo to the ANC for taking that bold step. Now we know when we talk about defense posture, we will be talking about the likes of Daniel Che and how they will be commanding people in the streets of Monrovia to go after the likes of their own made-up Roosevelt Johnson, and there will be brutal bloodbaths in the streets of Monrovia because that is the defense understanding and posture of Daniel Che, which is being adopted now by the ANC. Having said that, I do hope, though, that the next list that is going to come up will have more and more people on there that will probably drum out the likes of the distractions of the likes of Daniel Che. But this is the first time I'm seeing such a list with people who are not Western educated. I didn't like when Louis Brown said people who are not educated, because our old folks on there, they are educated, not just Western educated. So, for example, there's a man on there I think called Pajala or just one name that tells me that that's an elder. So I like that Cummings brought people, young people who are highly educated Western world, people who are not that much educated Western world, to create a kind of a coalition of the people that are on the ground, and that there was no names from the diaspora, because this is about time that we don't tell Liberians that they get to vote and then we come to lead. But I'm hoping that the next list will have the likes of my brother Jonathan on there, and we'll have other people on there that we know have the gravitas and have the ability to lead our country forward, that they will drum out the likes of General Che. Having said that, though, congratulations to you, ANC. You led the way. I can't take that away from you. I hope when my list come up, we won't have our only General Che on there too.
Thank you. Let's go to you, Jonathan. Before what will be your closing here now?
And so I'd like to say thanks to all of you again that I'm back. I also like to say that revolution always will take place. It is not the first time of its kind in Liberia. It will always happen. But the political understanding of the revolution that will maximize more for the people matters. And that is why many of us today, people hail Jerry Rawlings, people are hailing Paul Kagame, people hailed Fidel Castro, because they had the political will of the bulk majority of the people and to bring what was missing in the political space. I also like to say quickly that the red situation in our country, if we had done nothing, I think this is about time that what you are suggesting, Mr. Tory, last time, that we have worked with the political party, different sectors of people, so that we can have of paper put into place to use as a means for merchandise farming that will produce more rice in our country and export more rice out of our country. We are brilliant Liberians who got ideas that we can work around in doing such a thing. I also want to end up by saying that Mr. Cummings 2019 has said that he supports World Economic Crown Code for two purposes. One, for those who people may have lied on or may have just carried information or perception about so that their repetition can be clear, as well as those who also committed to have their days in court. It is unfortunate today that our veteran brother, John Stewart, veteran journalist, wrote a piece and said that Wade Power was sacked by Madam Salif, and she on the list. That is destructive lie, never existed, had never happened, and probably may never happen because Madam Salif is not becoming president. So when you have this kind of situation into the public and there is no clarification, the public seems to consume it without investigating or properly establishing. So the essence of quote and war crime quote or economic crime quote is meant for everyone to have that chance. I don't think Daniel Chair will resist it. I don't think Gabriel McIntyre can resist it. I don't think Mr. Louis Brown will ever resist it because it will be an opportunity for everybody.
Thank you, Mr. George.
Yeah,
let me quickly wrap it up for us then.
Look, Mr. Cesar, let me say this. You use some strong language to link comments with Daniel Chair. I think I would take an exception to that. You cannot say that, Mr. Cummings, that Daniel Chair will be there to spill blood in Liberia, taking command. That's a very strong language. Mr. Cummings has never been associated, and he's not that type of person. Having said that, look, the red issue for me, thank God there's rest in Monrovia. Okay? But the agony, the pain, the suffering that our people had to endure under the CDC-led government, it is shame for a government that has been in power almost 6 years that cannot provide the people the stable food. Not that they don't have money to pay for it. But I would say to Joshua, this will be his own Katrina or whatever, because this will stay with the Liberian people to make women claiming more than 6 feet fence, sleeping in the street for 3 days, and they weren't able to come and say a word to the people. Today, I saw the Minister of Commerce posted a picture from Freeport. I mean, these people don't have no shame, or they don't care about the Liberian people. I said this word, I don't mess my word about this thing. They don't care, because when the rest was scarce, no government official ever went to the port or to speak to the Liberian people. But rest kind of you going to take picture and post it, and you're smiling. That is an insult to the people of Liberia.
Okay.
And the judge, we should be ashamed of this. And let me, the vice president of Liberia, you will have a tell. This woman is greed for power. That woman is greed for power. And it was displaced at the headquarters, leading to the death of one young man. My sympathy, my heart go out to the family of that young man. This is the vice president of Liberia. Her greed for power led to somebody's death at that party disturbance. And I don't know why the government is not instituting an investigation that led to that man's death. I'm asking the Georgia government to institute an investigation. What led to that man's death?
Okay.
As a man that was committed against the state.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Why are you smiling?
We still have not had. We still are not able.
I said that to you.
Hold on now. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. We still have not been able to LPR. I mean, everyone out here we have our own view, and but LPR cannot substantiate the fact that you say because of the greed of the vice president, somebody that we don't know that for fact, but probably you do. Probably you do.
Someone die from that.
Okay, yeah, no, I understand that, but I'm just making some clarity here. Okay, I want to thank you guys very much, Mr. Soul. You have anything you want to say, or should we now just go ahead and say good night to you?
Wow, this is quite interesting tonight.
Is there anything?
Oh, if I get anything to say, Really? I want to interview Joseph Boyka. That's what I want to say. Look, here is the thing. My predictions, the crisis within the NPP, that's the strategy. Louis Brown, tour guide Dr. McIntosh, he's a genius. You can't compare him with nobody. The only person maybe to mention tour with him is Dr. Tipote. Nobody you can. That's their goal. You heard that yesterday, to neutralize Graham Bassel. And I think whether we agree with him or not, he is the guy best positioned to be the voice of ANC. What I would like you on that. ANC, I've never had anybody to really talk for them, how to navigate. He knows the system. He's a mobilizer. And I think he brought a lot to the table. But what is going on with the NPP? He said yesterday, he said Mola is going to be coming out. And I wouldn't be surprised. You're going to be hearing some maybe much more bigger name, because knowing there's a bad blood between the CDC and that of the NPP, the coalition didn't work. They wasn't accommodated politically. And the reason people get into collaboration to get a political accommodation, period. That did not happen. So we're going to see more of that. This Sunday, like we said, the Liberia War today is going to be a diverse conversation. This Sunday, we're going to be having another war-winning journalist, and he's an author, Kai Gerald. He's a former government official. His new memoir, Liberty Hijack, we're going to be having a conversation with Minister author Kai Gerald, journalist, this Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern, and it will be heard live on Sky FM TV as well in Liberia. So I want to thank all of you so much. I think more comfort. So a lot of say I think the Tiawan Gonglo folks gonna paint down the presence of Daniel Chia within the ANC camp.
Yeah,
I'm saying this.
That's the talking point.
This narrative being pulled heavily. What I'm hearing from Sissy.
I think so too. But I also want to say that perhaps a day or so ago, when we have a show before Louis Brown came on, maybe Louis Brown was watching the show and picked exactly what Mr. George was saying, how women been pushed up the steps, and he came out exactly the same. He didn't even miss anything. It's almost like quoting word for word. But anyhow, I want to thank all of you tonight. We'll be back again Wednesday. But I was hoping this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be calling folks, all four of you, to see what type of subject matter perhaps we need to get on, so that these people can get more into it. And even if we just take 1 hour or so and just discuss that, then the other one we can try and do it. But because with Mr. Soul's shows now, I think it's something that most likely he's going to have to concentrate on, because it's something that he's going to bring in some heavyweight. So he need to prepare himself for that weekend and what have you. So we will have to try to cover whenever he's not able to come on, and we will have to cover.
I am not going nowhere.
Mr. So I'm pushing you out. I'm pushing you. Let me just tell you right now, I'm pushing you out. I'm pushing you out. I'm pushing you out.
If you think I'm going to go away, so you're going to have a free ride here. It's LIE. That's a big lie. I'm not going nowhere.
Okay. All right. If you can, that's fine. But anyway, folks, let me just say thank you. Thank you guys very much. Yeah,
Papa still got something to say. He called me. I respond. You still not say something.
Samson too.
Yeah.
Let me give you the advice tonight.
Yeah. Whatever.
Okay. It's in connect with Sissy. Anytime you drive to Peloton in the night, when they give you food, they cannot call out being knee. Don't eat it. Okay.
That ain't one job we are doing. You're still
No, but listen now. And make give you advice when I call it meet me. And see how they go in the bush to go home. The ANC K1B elephant again calling me. They just passing by the elephant and they say, brother.
Okay. All right. Okay, folks. Again, Samson told LeBron Pomerino. I'm here with
Jeneton.
Yeah.
You sure that visit in Minnesota going to produce something with Sissy?
No, Sissy is my brother.
Okay, folks, we're already going to. Let me close, then we can have that conversation. Folks, again, thank you, Mr. So, Sensei, Jonathan, and Mr. George. Thank you guys very much. We said we're going to be here 2 hours, and 2 hours have allotted already. We want to thank you very much for tuning in. Again, folks, we'll be right back. Samson to LIBERIA Public Radio. All right, folks, again, thank you, Samson to LIBERIA Public Radio. I want to thank all of you again tonight. I think tonight's conversation has given us good information, and we will continue to tune into Mr. So's show, where he will be able to have interview from all over, and then we will, as usual, discuss it. But in the meantime, we'll still carry on our own show from time to time, and I want to thank all of you again for tuning in tonight. Mr. Imaya Boa, thank you very much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Thompson, thank you very much. Croman, thank you. Fonat, thank you. Brown, thank you. Smith, thank you. And everyone else, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Please continue to support us whenever we come. That doesn't mean that you don't have anything to say or anything to do, but because you.
Samson.
Yes.
Yeah, quickly. Let me not be ungrateful. I shouldn't say it was surprising. You know, we get good folks that have been supporting the work of LPR. But yesterday, in fact, I didn't know that. I was still on air, but then later on when I checked my phone, Mr. James Ulu-Double is based in the ocean state of Rhode Island. And I think he was touched yesterday. When I looked, I saw the cash app of $65. He said, well, this is, I want to be able to access my phone to get a text message, but I basically was surrounding his support to LPR, proud of what we are doing, the conversation being kept. It was proportional, it was effective, it was a good process. So I just want to acknowledge that. Mr. Double, I want to thank you so much. And to many of our folks, we are not the type of always putting cash out or Zelle or doing fundraiser. If we did, we do it in the past for other people. But we will be doing that to appeal to people. You know, follow the National Public Radio here. SCA is not charging you anything. Let me be crystal clear for airing, for sharing this news content. Usually people will charge you $200, $300. In fact, there was a station that we talked to, and it was just ridiculous. They just think people get money here. But SCA is not asking for anything. So we have to use our good conscience and good judgment as well. They are in Liberia. We ourselves get our folks there. But I think there is enough reason now to ask people, because these programs are going to be aired in Liberia, are going to be televised, and so we got to use our own judgment. So in subsequent programs to come, we will put our cash app and Zelle number. People at their own will, $5, $10, so that at the end of the month, a certain period of time, we can, say, hey, guys, this is our own way of helping you getting your fuel in the absence of electricity, which is not stable, to do that. So I think it's just important. Was important to mention that the management would do appreciate the kind gesture without asking. Mr. James Double sent us $65 yesterday. I think that was extraordinary, and I do really appreciate that. And I know there are many who have been asking us to do similar thing, but I would say we don't just want to ask for money. There must be a justifiable reason. Now we have a reason because we align with a sister network, and we must use our good conscience to also, help them out to shoulder some of their responsibilities. I just thought of mentioning that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming back and letting us know. We appreciate it, Mr. Dover. Thank you very much, and we'll talk about that here come tomorrow or day after. In the meantime, I want to thank all of you again. As I stated earlier, we thank you very much for fathering, and we'll say good night to all of you. Good night, folks. Samson to LIBERIA Public Radio.
Aha! Join. Wakava, my baby, twambe usonga. Wakava, kaswiti twambe uwina. Mama meka na kusaku wanyeni maela. Mama mekwa umasaku wanyeni mona. niwa makwetyo samba sange wasiamana measya tulisoma chinyini naku mateseka na wendo wito ndi wa moja mateseka na wendo wito ndi wa keshua nikulia telemaiva ni utongoza telemaiva oine namba telemaiva tuichaji gidokalika boksi yawa kama lonze nimeuvinja singila singila kandolo kokele kandolo kokele ai